And I will be the first to say that I'm not a huge supplements guy, even though I'm about to list supplements. And for those of you who like don't take hardly anything or nothing are going to look at this and be like, are you kidding me? That sounds like a ton. I have tried basically everything out there in terms of supplements. Maybe not everything, but pretty close. A lot of stuff. I've spent a lot of money on supplements, as you all know. In the supplement industry, you can spend a lot of money pretty quickly, but I've narrowed it down to the things that I have found to be the most effective for me. And when I take supplements, there's kind of two things that I'm looking at. Number one is recovery and health maintenance. So kind of what are those formulas? What are those supplements? What are those compounds that have been found in research to be the most effective for most people? So people know about fish oil, right? I'll talk about the fish oil here in just a second. The other thing would be brain, cognitive, and mood support. So those are just really important components for me, especially as I get ready for my day. And so I take, take a couple of these compounds really just for mood and cognitive well-being. So what is my first one? Well, in the winter time only, because in the summertime, I don't really have a need for taking this because I will get these levels checked, is vitamin D K2. I take one from Thorne. It is a liquid-based vitamin D and K2. You just turn the dropper up. I take about 10 drops, which is 5,000 IU. So that's 5,000 IU in the wintertime really only. Again, in the summertime, don't really need it. And here in South Carolina, like we get short bouts of vitamin D for most of the year, but starting in springtime, April-ish, even late March-ish, that's kind of when I drop the vitamin D. But I do notice a good mood boosting effect. I mean, there's so much great research out there on vitamin D and then the use of K2 as well, especially for the heart health component. There's so much great research out there that supports this, that's kind of a part of my staple in the wintertime. Great podcast I did with Dr. William Wiles, who we're going to do part 2 here soon. But he talked about, and excuse me, let me go get the light back on for you YouTubers. The light turns off after like a certain amount of time, which is super annoying. Maybe I should get that fixed. Anyway, I did a great podcast with Dr. William Wiles, and we talk about this concept of vitamin D, especially as it relates to mood and to overall health and well-being, and just the immense amount of publications that are there for vitamin D. So again, 5,000 IU, Thorne. The next thing I take, and give me a second so I can drink a little bit of water. The next thing I take is a nitric oxide supplement called Neo 40, NEO 40. It is a tablet that is actually more like a lozenge than anything. You just throw it in, it dissolves in the tongue, and it is one of the most effective tools that I've ever seen for pre-workout pump. I'll talk about that here in just a second. And then also to just overall cardiovascular health and HRV improvement. As far as supplements goes, I've not found anything that has been more effective than Neo 40. Listen to the podcast. We can link to it in the show notes. The podcast that I did with Dr. Nathan Bryan, the most preeminent researcher in the field of nitric oxide. And he talks about the effects of the use of nitrates and nitrites, as well as things like beetroot powder to increase nitric oxide content, vasodilate the blood vessels, increase overall blood flow. I mean, this thing is incredible. So for me, that is a part of my daily morning routine. And I also take it at night. I take kind of like a double dose because I'm a little crazy, but Neo 40, incredible. The next thing is fish oil. So fish oil is a non-negotiable. What kind do I take? Well, I know a guy, Kion Omegas. It's 2 pills, or it's like 2 soft gels actually. It's 1,000 milligrams or 1 gram of fish oil, and it is like a EPA DHA like 50-50 split basically. I think it's like 530 milligrams EPA, 435 milligrams DHA, and Kion Omega is incredible. So if you want like the best fish oil out there, Kion Omega is incredible. Next one is I take a magnesium supplement, and this magnesium supplement may be one that you've heard, maybe not so much have heard. Does that make sense? And it's called Magnesium threonate. I actually didn't know about magnesium threonate and the research behind it until, here we go again with his name, Andrew Huberman talked about it on his podcast. He uses it a lot for sleep, but it's actually been found to have a lot of brain boosting, cognitive, mood lifting effects to it. And so I take magnesium threonate. I take 3 capsules in the morning. It's 144 milligrams. And again, just really great for overall mood, brain health, and cognition. I focus really well with magnesium threonate. I take I have no affiliation to this company, but I take one from a company called Jarrow Formulas. It's called MagMind. Granted, and just because people are going to probably write this in the comments, magnesium threonate, from what I've seen, is the most expensive type of magnesium that I've found. It's pricey, so don't judge me and get mad because you want to take it and you see that it's really expensive. Just know, going into it, it tends to be on the pricier side. Another one I take is L-Theanine. L-Theanine, which comes from green tea leaf. And I generally will take anywhere from 100 to 200 milligrams. And this one is just really good for cognition and focus and mood, but also helps to offset any of the potential jitters that people can get from caffeine, for me, from coffee. So I find that it's a really good kind of balancing effect to take the L-Theanine to help offset any of those potential jitters or, kind of the shakes that you might get from, maybe the offset crash that coffee or caffeine can have. The next thing, and this is my last staple, is Kinton. So Kinton is a sea mineral infused. No, I won't say infused. It's just naturally occurring. It's minerals that are found in seawater off of fresh plankton blooms in the ocean. And so there's great podcasts that Ben Greenfield has done with Robert Slovak of Water and Wellness. And that's where I get it, by the way, Water and Wellness. But I take Kinton. I take the hypertonic ampule. Or if I'm not feeling so well, if I'm feeling a little bit ill, I'll take isotonic. And isotonic is really the diluted version that is supposed to be more similar to blood plasma. So it can help when people are sick. So I believe that Robert Slovak calls isotonic the medicine, while the vitamin, maybe he calls it, or the supplement, would be hypertonic, which is what I take one day. One ampule, it's like these glass little containers that you just break off the ends, down the hatch, and you're good to go. It's very salty. So again, the supplements I take in the morning that are my non-negotiables right now: vitamin DK2, Neo 40, Kion Omega, which is fish oil, magnesium threonate, L-Theanine, Kinton, and that's it. The optional ones that I take, excuse me, the optional ones that I take would be Qualia Mind by Neurohacker Collective. This is if I'm having an extremely cognitively demanding day. So Qualia Mind it's probably the most incredible nootropic that I've taken, because it's an absolute shotgun formula, and it never, ever, for me, gives me a crash. Again, I'm not connected to this company. I don't receive any royalties, any commission. I just take it. I pay for it out of my own money that I pay myself from Hanu, and that you pay me by watching YouTube videos. And I get my Qualia Mind, and I take it if I'm having a really cognitively demanding day. So if I wake up and I start work sometimes at 5:30, if it's just a crazy day, I'll start work at 5:30. And then let's say I have one of those days where I'm, teaching or I'm lecturing at a university until 9 p.m. or so. That's a really long day, and I need kind of that extra boost. So I'll take a little nootropic compound called Qualia Mind. And I take the caffeine-free version, by the way. I just don't like extra caffeine. It just gives me a little bit jitters. It has a lot of great things in it, like L-Theanine, alpha GPC, phosphatidylserine. It's got ginkgo biloba. It's got rhodiola. So a lot of these adaptogenic herbs and mushrooms, and it's incredible. The other one I'll take, which is again just optional, sometimes I'll kind of bounce back and forth between Qualia Mind and Alpha Brain by Onnit, which is another just really, really good one. And if I haven't already checked, and that's my supplement routine.